Okay.
Hi, and welcome to Planet Watch. We're here to talk about Mercury retrograde. With
And we're having such fun doing it.
we're having such fun doing this. This is take two. I'm here with Mary Jane Staudenmann, Radiate Wellness's resident astrologer. Hi, Jane. Let's try this.
Hello, Chris.
Okay, so we've got Mercury retrograde that we're full in the. Well, I thought it started tomorrow, but apparently we're in it already.
No, we're really getting a head start here. There's always a shadow period. They like to call this a shadow period before and after the official retrograde movement now, which is starting the 1st of November, technically, and ending the 21st of November. However, we have to tack on 2 or 3 days of bizarreness before and after during the what are called the stations. And stations of Mercury is where there's no apparent movement at all, and before he starts going direct again.
And so,
So
okay, so any kind of retrograde, we think of moving backwards. So what exactly is a retrograde if somebody does not know?
okay, a retrograde movement is from our point of view here as Earthlings. No planet is really moving backward. However, from our point of view, there are periodic times when planets seem to go retrograde. From our point of view, as they're passing before and after the sun,
Right.
from
So
our stance in the
they
sun. Yeah,
appear to be moving backward in their orbit, but they don't really.
right. They don't really.
Okay.
No.
So this kind
So
of has a
it's a human problem is what it comes down to. It's an earthly problem, and we just have to deal with that and get over it, and use it the best way we can.
right.
That's the because these retrograde movements, in the case of Mercury, come up usually 3, sometimes even 4 times a year. So it's something that that's life. That's the way it is, and
Right.
we've got to use these periods to their best power,
Right.
which is
Exactly.
totally possible. Just totally possible.
And each retrograde um has like a slightly different quality, doesn't it?
Sure. According to what sign Mercury is located at the time of its retrogradation, Mercury is a very permeable planet. It's a hermaphrodite planet. It's
Right.
asexual. So it takes on positive charges or negative charges according to the planets it's around. And it also acts differently, as all the planets do actually, in each sign. So he's extremely flippy. He can go all kinds of ways.
Goes both
As
ways.
he goes into retrograde, then in each sign, he's going to have to address different issues
Okay.
that we'll talk about as we go along. But here in Scorpio, for instance, we'll see a lot of first of all, very useful for doing research, especially background research.
Fantastic.
Scorpio is an energy that devotes itself to digging and finding out and getting to the bottom of things. So with a Mercury retrograde, this is wonderful for archivists, librarians, research experts. This is fantastic to go digging
Oh,
back,
oh.
back into old studies, old information, and bringing it up to date.
Yeah, very interesting. So that's
Uh-huh.
particular for Scorpio.
It's particular to Scorpio. It's going to be true for all of us. Let me just say in parentheses before we go any farther that the signs of Virgo births, Gemini births, are very extra sensitive to this Mercury retrograde business
Oh,
because these two signs are ruled by Mercury.
oh,
So even when here we are in Scorpio, Virgos and Geminis are going to feel a certain sensitivity to the problems attached, but also to the positive uses attached to Mercury.
I think that's a really good point to underline is that each retrograde has its different flavor, but it will affect different people according to where their planets are.
Sure,
Yeah.
exactly. For instance, well, we're talking about the signs, but it's interesting it's almost essential to go back to your birth chart and see where this sign is located. because that's the field of activity that's going to be troubled, that's going to be excited by this Mercury retrograde. For
Right.
instance, I've got this Scorpio going on in my third house of communication, uh, getting paperwork done, all of that. I have had a week of playing around with my computer, trying to get the damn thing fixed, get it. It's a new machine, and that was not something I should have done with a Mercury
Moving,
retrograde.
right? Yeah.
Just, I mean, you live and learn. Sometimes it takes longer than some other times,
And
but
and
that's okay.
that's something I usually associate with Mercury retrograde. Like, don't sign contracts, don't, like electrics, just kind of goes kablooey,
Craziness,
right?
especially
Right.
communications
Yes.
interests, telephones, computers. Don't put anything in the mail unless it's authorized against signature. All the rest, assure everything. You have
Right.
to absolutely make sure that the means of communication are going to be working in your favor. So I, for one, don't like to put big packages in the mail because they're going to get lost. It's just that kind of a thing, or they're not going to get there on time. There's going to be something wrong. So, at this said, it's an excellent time to go back and clean out your closets, clean out your desk, get rid of old stuff. This is excellent as far as going back and digging around and making order. It's wonderful for that.
Right.
We
Well,
talked about, yeah, go ahead.
okay. Before we started recording, we talked about this is a good time to winterize.
Yes, quite, because again, in Scorpio, we have to be thinking about fixing, repairing, getting ready for the onslaught.
Oh,
Basically, backing up. Think about backpedaling on your bicycle. This is
okay.
useful to pick up momentum, and that's what we're really doing in Mercury retrograde. We're going back and getting things in order to take off on a better speed as it comes back direct. So with this in mind, we go back. We're looking at old information. We're doing research. This is a fantastic time to be, again, cleaning closets and cleaning desks, and make sure your passport is in order, and make sure your insurance papers are in order. Interesting time to be changing insurance values if that's necessary in your life,
Oh,
because Scorpio has a great deal to do with hidden capital, that kind of treatment.
right.
It's a good time to be looking at old investments. If you've got stocks and things hanging off, it's a very good time to be reviewing your financial situation.
Right. Oh, that's an excellent point. Yeah. And I'm just, what you said about how we can be in like retrograde mode even before it hits. It's like yesterday I took in all of the garden hoses. I knew it was freezing. Cleaned up, kind of winterized my deck, but also got a ticket because my license plates are expired. So I
Right.
take care of that. Right.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, you got to get your papers in order. That's all
Right.
there is to it.
Get your papers in order, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind
Yeah.
of been my mantra with these retrogrades that, yeah, sure, they're annoying and sure things go kablooey, but it's a good time to go back and cross the T's, dot the I's.
For sure.
I
For
love
sure.
your more precise type of laundry list, checking your investments, checking your insurance, and doing all those things too.
There are a few good ones here that that I'll just read off to you, basically to
Please.
talk about a little bit. It's a very good time to be remedying or going back, looking at projects that are already going on. Sometimes you have to redo some things or renegotiate or pick up the pieces, and see what's really on the table right now. It's a very bad time at the same time to be starting a new project. Launching anything
Right.
is a very bad idea under this Mercury retrograde. However, it's a very good time, again, with this notion of communication, to be reconciling differences between people. If you've got, something that's heavy on your shoulders, get it out there and talk it out, get it fixed. It's a very good time to be fixing machines as well, fixing broken things.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
this is a very good way to use this Mercury. For sure. Again, organize documents and so on. Make copies,
Oh,
lots of copies of all of your important papers.
right.
Again, it's getting a backup. That's what we're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, computer, phone backup. If you have things you need to safeguard, be sure they're in order and where you can find them immediately.
Right.
Uh, the idea of archives is very important with a Mercury retrograde, because that's where we're kind of keeping important stuff when we need to go back. And so it's good to have some kind of order in your situation. Huh?
Right.
Yeah, mail and parcels we talked about. Put things in the mail early. Make sure they're insured. Make sure you have signatures, counter signatures, and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
And the importance of research
Yeah.
in any
That's
domain that you happen to be needing to dig out some extra facts, because again, with Mercury in retrograde, we're in a period of fake news anyway. This has been going on for a long time. And this Mercury retrograde just invites, like a pot of honey, all kinds of lies, trickery, dupery, all kinds of nonsense is going on. And also a lack of communication with that. Things just get lost in translation.
oh no.
So you have to be careful.
Right.
There's one part of this Mercury retrograde that I do want to kind of underline, because we don't hear about it very much. Um, in Scorpio, we have to remember that Mercury is the soul guide as well. Mercury is directing our thought processes in a lot of ways. So this is an excellent time to look back, see what your motives have been in the past, see what situations are still kind of pending, and that where you have to make order in your relationships, in your past actions. Have you
Mhm.
been straight? Are you on a right path? It's a very good time to be sitting back and getting a big picture, actually, of what's been going on.
Oh, absolutely. You know, Archangel Jeremiah is the one who is responsible for life review. And when we cross over at the end of life, he helps us, you know, we see our life flash before our eyes. But
Yeah,
we don't
yeah,
have to be at death's door to do that. We can have a life
no.
review at any time, and he helps us with that. So this would be a good time to work with Archangel Jeremiah on that.
Yeah, there's a wonderful quotation I'll just throw out here from the Buddha. In fact, he says, "Let no sleep fall upon thine eyes till thou hast thrice reviewed the transactions of the past day." Now, isn't that a good idea?
That is
Check it out.
wonderful.
Before you go to sleep, uh, where have I turned aside from rectitude? What have I left undone, which I ought to have done? Interesting.
Love that.
Begin thus from the first act and proceed. And in conclusion, at the ill which thou hast done, be troubled, rejoice for the good. Now, I think that's just gorgeous.
That
And
is
that's,
beautiful.
yeah, that's really such a wonderful way to use this Mercury retrograde. Now, I talked about some of the positive things. Let's get down to the nitty gritty negative stuff that you
Right.
might not want to do
Okay.
right away. First of all, don't plan trips if you can avoid them.
Right.
If you must be out there doing stuff, check all the details, your route, your tickets, your hotel bookings, all the insurance you need to take out, so that any necessary travel will go more or less painfully. Be ready, however, for strikes, for slowdowns, for traffic, for
Delay.
any and all
Mechanical.
delays. They're going to be out there for sure. Pay attention to your money. Keep it under lock and key. Remember that Mercury is also the god of thieves and
Ah,
trickery. Important
good to know.
sometimes with money, with your papers, anything valuable.
Hmm.
Number two, do not buy electric products or a new car.
Good.
Very bad idea. Electronic products, I should say.
Right.
If necessary, look closely at the warranty. Look closely at the fine print. Make sure you're making a deal that's going, and also have the machine checked out for hidden defects, even a new one. Number three, do not change addresses. This is the worst time in the world to even go shopping for a new house or a new apartment. because
Right.
you're going to make a bad deal. You're going to make a bad choice. 4, do not sign contracts.
Right.
Keep everybody on hold. Let everybody think over the situations before you get involved in any contractual dealings,
Right.
promises made. I would add to that, do not get married. Do not even get engaged under a Mercury retrograde. Do not launch a new business or a new project.
Right.
Keep everything on a slow burner until we get some direct action. And yeah, do not make major decisions like marriage, like divorce, like changing jobs, like changing continents. Keep it on a slow fire until things get better.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
which is when does Mercury go direct again?
It will enter into a station on the 21st of November.
Okay, good.
Will stay stationary for 3 or 4 days and then is off and running again.
Good.
So then you can see clearly the things you've been ruminating during this wonderful time,
Right.
and then go ahead with whatever action seems necessary to take.
Wonderful, wonderful. This is excellent advice. Excellent advice. And I do want to stress that if anybody wants more information about how Mercury retrograde affects them personally with their
Mhm.
chart, that it is
Right.
the best idea to have that looked at by a professional astrologer like
It's a
Mary
very
Jane,
good idea.
right?
For instance,
And
for
you,
instance.
for instance, right? You just happen to be so handy and so knowledgeable. You've been doing this for a long time. So if anybody wants to have their charts drawn up and looked at by Mary Jane, just go to radiatewellnesscommunity.com/appointments. And we will be requesting, when you do make that appointment, birth information and location. All right.
Right.
Thank you so much, Mary Jane. This has been really helpful. I think this is going to be
I
just
hope so.
nuts and bolts useful.
Good. I certainly hope so. And I'm looking forward to having any commentary. Will only help.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. Please comment below. All right. Thanks, Mary Jane. We will talk to you soon.